with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FANation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Live show. We're here for the Monday 8-game main slate. Your guy, James Grande, on the Playbook. That's out live for all of you. I got our underdog picks out there for all of you here as well. Grande, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Definitely an interesting slate. Lot of news that has come down the wire, a lot to still come down the wire. Fortunately, we won't have to stay up until 10 p.m. to figure that out because the slate is over, or at least the nothing you can do about it after 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Did FanDuel leave the 10 p.m. off? Or thankfully. You're not making you suffer for the Kings Heat 10 p.m., 2 hours after every other game.
No, they looked at it. They're like, ooh, he lost by 50 to Utah last time out. Maybe probably don't want to play that one.
Yeah. So we got that's good. Starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Portland, Detroit, Philadelphia, Phoenix. Big news coming through last night, like midnight. I messaged you. You were probably long asleep. Phoenix benching Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic, moving them out of the starting rotation, and then looking to trade both of them. The short-lived big three in Phoenix didn't last like a full season, given all the injuries that they had. Beal and Nurkic expected to come off the bench if they even play, I guess, at this point. I guess we don't really know, right? Like, we're assuming they'll still play, but Plumlee and Dunn moving into the starting lineup, and Beal and Nurkic moving to the bench. Certainly a surprise there. And then things get worse for Dallas. This isn't just like a minor injury that Kyrie Irving is dealing. It's a 1 to 2 week bulging disc in his back injury that he is dealing with to go along with Luka Doncic, whom I don't know if you saw over the weekend, still can't even put pressure on the foot. He's going around on the knee scooter.
Wow.
So who knows when that calf, ankle, Achilles injury is ever going to heal up here. So, Dallas is going to be without their top two guys now for a bit. You mentioned we're obviously waiting on some other names here to come through for the injury report for today's slate as well. So hopefully we'll get some of this while we're live with all of you so we can break it down. We do appreciate having you guys join us. Des says he's late. You haven't really missed much. Just kind of wrapping up some of the news, but happy to have you in the chat. And then the Prince says he's got to rebuild.
Well,
you definitely need to rebuild the Prince. Not because like your builds are wrong. They're probably fine. But you never want to finalize your NBA roster build at 5 o'clock at night.
No.
You want to be open to adjustments and rebuilds basically up until roster lock, because there's still a lot of news that could come down today that will impact where we go and who we go to. So you want to set your reserve contest entries. James and I always talk that up. Get in early, reserve your lineups. Maybe put a first look dummy lineup in case, you do forget that, where you got at least some sort of representable lineup in there, but you definitely don't want to be locking in your nightly lineups this early here. So those of you who are new to the show, we appreciate you joining us. Hit that like, that subscribe, that share button. It's a free way to support what we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. We go live every day at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I know that with the NFL season, James, over for the most part. We got the playoffs kicking off this week here. We have a lot of new audience members that tune in for some NBA content, so we appreciate you guys there. We go position by position here, and we build a lineup at the end of the show to get you guys going. Our guy Chris is in Hawaii playing over
nice.
Must be nice, Chris, getting the Hawaii sunshine. It is 21 degrees here in Boston, so I was quite chilly today, but he's over on FanDuel looking to win 30 grand, so love to see that. James, slate-wise, top overall price guys: Giannis 11.3, Wemby 11.1, Towns 10K. Cade is our top price point guard tonight. He's $9,700. Where does Cade fit in your lineup builds, and where are we looking to go at the point guard position?
Just before I get there, I would like to just circle back.
Sure.
I would fully expect Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic to play.
Sure.
At least more confident in Beal. But Because like even if they don't start, they could always close. Like you know,
Sure.
doesn't always. It's not. It's a very fluid situation
Well,
regardless.
that's
But
what I'm saying. If
I
they're
do expect them to.
working on trades, you never know.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I do expect them to play. Not that I have them in my player pool, but I do expect them to play. And
Sure.
it's reflective in like the Philly owner or the Phoenix ownership. There's just none because nobody knows what to do about that team. In terms of Cade ranking, I mean, he's as good as anyone per dollar on the slate. I'd venture to say there's 2 players in the 9K range that stack up against anybody above them. So, and Cade's one of them. I mean, he's obviously been one of the games without Jaden Ivey. He's been massive foul trouble. The second game, he went nuclear. And also, when I complain about minutes, he plays all the minutes. He plays 38 minutes. So if that's the version of Cade Cunningham we're going to get to, then sign me up for the guy that was 10-6. I would play Cade at 10-6 without Jaden Ivey and Oscar Thompson at $9,700. So he is amongst the best spend ups of the day. And, I'm putting him up there per dollar next to Wemby, next to Giannis, next to Towns, next to whoever.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. $9,700. A great price tag for him. We'll hit Scotty at small forward since it's kind of the spot that he's playing now. You got Jalen Brunson as probable here. We have Towns as questionable. So we'll see what happens with Brunson in this matchup here against Orlando. Last time he played them, he had 46 fantasy points. No Jalen Suggs tonight. They're back to the Cole Anthony and then maybe Anthony Black if you're reading into Jamal Mosley and can decipher whatever it is he's talking about there. So you got that. You got Harden, Booker, Lillard, Maxey, Halliburton, your 8K tier. This is fine for me. No Middleton definitely makes Lillard a bit more appealing tonight at $8,700. But where are you looking to go?
So let's just comment on what Don's saying here. First off, Don, what's going on? Second off, I think like you're overthinking this a little bit when you factor in some of these games, right? Minnesota, he nukes. Charlotte, he was in foul trouble the whole night. Can't do anything about foul trouble. Orlando is Orlando. That's Jalen Suggs' season, right? He's available in that game. That's a tough game. Denver, he played 27 minutes, and you and I have talked about this a bunch. They benched the starters. They just flat out benched the starters, didn't play the fourth quarter. And although it was only 13, it was like 20 something going into the fourth. And the backups kept it close. That's not really going to proceed to happen again. Then you look at the games prior to that. Four of the five before that were 55 plus fantasy points. So I think don't overthink the Cade spot. It's against one of the best defenses in basketball or worst defenses in basketball as well. So,
and like you said, they're down not only Ivy, no Oscar Thompson tonight as well. Like there's just more opportunities. Not necessarily that Thompson was taking away from Cade, but less bodies in the rotation, man. Right? So.
Yes. And the 38 minutes last game really like chef's kiss, right? That was the perfect touch. So back to sorry, I didn't mean to like derail.
No, good circle back. I missed Don. First of all, Don, happy to have you back in the chat with us here.
Right.
Cade all day, stacks in there as well.
I mean, I agree. In terms of the next tier, I do think Dame is very appealing. Like good with Brunson, Harden indifferent about Booker, indifferent about the Suns in general. Dame just hasn't made shots, and another guy who's playing max minutes, but everything is really lining up for the Bucks here. Like, and I don't like anything else on Milwaukee other than Dame and Giannis because it's really hard to project who's playing a night to night basis. Like AJ Green had 21 actual the other night. Is he going to do that again for the next month? I don't know. But he just needs to make shots. The peripheral stats have been great. The shot volume has been great. The minutes have been great. Toronto pace up spot for Milwaukee, and they're a bottom 6 defense in the NBA. So I like Damian Lillard quite a bit. And I do, Warren just beat me to the punch. I was literally going to say, and I feel like he does that a lot. Warren's like in my brain, but I do like Halliburton in tournaments tonight. I think the most important thing that you and I have talked about has been the inconsistency from Tyrese Halliburton this year. Like it's just been wildly inconsistent. And then he just decided, you know what? I need to shoot more. And shoot more he has, and shots have gone in, right? Like, it's been a lot of threes, sure, but even in that one Boston game, 9 free throws, only 1 made 3, and he goes for 31 actual, and they they kind of just blew the Celtics out. Like, that version that we've gotten from 3 of 4 is the version we got basically all of last year from Tyrese Halliburton. This is a really good matchup. Obviously, TBD on what the product that Brooklyn puts on the floor is. We just don't know. And in current form, Indiana probably blows them out if like D'Lo and Simmons and such don't play.
He's been the perfect like multi-entry guard, right? Because you build a couple of lineups, so you sprinkle in that exposure, then boom, you get the Miami game. He goes for 72 at 8,200, and you got him in one of your 3 or one of your 20, and you win because you have a low rostered Halliburton there. Overall, I mean, he's still averaging 41 fantasy points a game. Some of that is obviously tilted with some of the huge games he's had, but at $8,400, 5x there, you're looking at like 42 fantasy points. So it's really not too far off. Don and Stacks mentioning a guy that I like as well today. That is Emmanuel Quickly. I did also, though, shoot you a message today that he has been wildly efficient with his assist numbers, averaging 15 assist chances per game over the last 2 games, converting on 13 of those 15 assists per game chances. Now, again, 26 total assists over the last 2 games, but having like a 90% hit rate on your assist chances is very difficult to repeat. Obviously, so you got to take that into it a little bit, but 15 assist chances per game is still a nice number, right? It gives you that 8 to 9 assists potential, 7 assists potential, in that range. If you just hit 50% of your assist options. Milwaukee, not a good defensive team. We're expecting this game to be rather high scoring. I like that Toronto is home tonight. We don't know the RJ Barrett status. I don't think that really will impact Quickly all too much. The ball will be in his hands enough as the point guard here, and he'll distribute. If anything else, opportunities for him to get assists off of mades from Barrett and Barnes instead of, some of the other options there. So Quickly at 7K, I'm certainly fine with. Not to just jump by Giddy at $7,700. We went in on him last night, losing closing minutes to Lonzo the other night, and that maybe starts to be in a trend again. Like we saw him close once. You got the Bulls jersey on, got the Lonzo jersey on.
I told you I would.
Have you listened to the LiAngelo rap yet? Or,
yes, I have. Do you know who wrote the lyrics?
I don't. Lonzo
is the reported lyricist on the song.
There you go. LiAngelo's got to do something, right? So,
dude, it's a hit. I mean, it
was in the Detroit Lions locker room last night. Amon-Ra St. Brown was rocking out to it, so we had it there. All right, so Giddy's fine. Again, he didn't close. You got to keep that in mind. Didn't close that game, so he will lose some minutes at the end of the game. They're going to go to Lonzo. Keep that up there, but there is triple-double certainly upside. Kobe White's in this range. Dallas now, and definitely no Irving for a little bit. Do they just look to establish Dinwiddie? Like, what are your thoughts as we hit the 6K tier?
So just commenting more on the Quickly point, here's the cover of my playbook tonight.
Love it.
Goes the cover, I think like 10 o'clock this morning. So I am on board with that play. In terms of the rest of this mid-tier, not so much in on Giddy. You can always play him in tournaments, though. It's always a large field stuff thing. I'm indifferent about Spencer Dinwiddie. The numbers look nice without Kyrie and Luka. They, over a fantasy point per minute. Don't love the minutes the last 2 games. One with Kyrie, one without. The one with Kyrie, I guess, shouldn't be as surprising. But then, you brought it to my attention. He didn't even start the second half in the Cleveland game. In a game that, was never too insurmountable. Like, it was obviously Cleveland maintained a solid lead that whole game. But, I don't know, 23 minutes, 6,500. I would rather just play Anthony Simons for $100 cheaper. Anthony Simons is in one of his like stretches where he just scores a bunch of points, and when he does score a bunch of points, like he has a ceiling.
Yeah, I like Anthony Simons a lot here. I think the matchup that he's got is, and the scoring upside we've seen has been pretty impressive.
I got something interesting here, John. I want to bring up.
Yeah,
we'll get to center in a few, but I don't know. Read into this how you want. The Knicks recalled Ariel Hawkporty, who is a rookie center from the G League. So just
usually an indication of things to come, right?
So we'll maybe about Cat, maybe not, but Hawkporty is with the team this evening. So just thought I'd bring that to the forefront.
Yeah, no, I it's rare that we see that kind of update and then the following news be different, right? Where they just keep them up in case. Like usually that's a sign that Towns may not end up play today. And then we'll talk about, again, we already like the top end of center here, but like I guess like Precious Achua would be it now a conversation to be had. So all right, cool. And back to your point guard spot, I like Simons a lot here. Again, I mentioned like think Chris Paul could be a fine cash game play. Scottie Pippen, Memphis is down more players potentially here today. Anything else in this point guard range?
The field was so high on Scottie Pippen all day, and then they're not anymore, which I think is interesting because I don't know what the minutes are going to be, especially with Kennard getting upgraded from out to questionable out of the clouds today. That's a little interesting. I mean, the questions about D'Angelo Russell, we've had a bunch of them. There's no data out there whether he's going to play or whether he's not. All I'll say is he's too cheap. Like 5,500 for D'Angelo Russell if he plays is just simply too cheap. Blowout or not, because if you get 27 minutes out of Russell, it doesn't matter if this is a blowout. He's going to lead them in shots. He's going to obviously handle the ball quite a bit. So
he's had some like really good usage rates the last couple of games where he has been on the floor with them. So
he has. So I think like TBD on the Russell, like no idea. All the people that have asked, sorry, we don't have anything more concrete, but like
it's a 7:30 game. The worst likely thing that happens here is that at 7:01 we get the Russells in or out news. So, if you're going to build your lineups and you want to leave a spot to play Russell, Joel Embiid ruled out tonight.
That's so unfortunate because that was my favorite play.
He was the cover of my Underdog Picks article, man. I had the over 9.5 rebounds.
It's funny. I got to start muting. I just got to be mute about my Joel Embiid interest, like publicly. Like I need to like.
Did you tweet about him today?
No, but I love them on the show, and then in my playbook, I think I called him my favorite 9K, my favorite play of the day, and I was playing him over Wemby tonight.
All right, so now we're definitely playing Maxey and Paul George, probably, right?
Dude, Paul George is going to be the highest rostered player of the night. I told you last night. I thought the price was fine for Paul George, and now we're talking about no Embiid against a bad defensive team, and I'm locking in Maxey for sure. So frustrating.
Maxey's upside without Joel Embiid is huge.
The numbers really haven't bear that out. Well,
we've just seen the massive shot attempts that he has, right? Like
he's just what he is. Like I feel like Tyrese Maxey is just like no matter who's on the floor, like I'm always gonna get my shots, and that's it. Like because it hasn't. Man, that's annoying. So Tyrese Maxey, 30.3% usage rate this year on the year, 31.7. So 1.4 rounded up to 1.5% better.
Yeah, I took McCain and Embiid off the floor, and it's almost 33% usage.
Okay. Just Embiid, Paul George has the biggest usage bump, 3.5%. He also leads in fantasy points per minute. But the McCain piece is definitely
without McCain, without Embiid, Maxey 1.28 and George 1.19.
Yeah, it's PG. So usage rate bumps. PG gets 2.4, Maxey 2.3. So they're like
right there,
neck and neck. Paul George with the slightly better fantasy point per minute increase, but I mean, this isn't like the rocket science. They're both elite plays.
Yeah,
one's just obviously priced a little more favorably
for sure. So anyways, both of those guys I think are going to be great. Probably takes any love off of the Lillard and Halliburton with Maxey now. I bet he just becomes rather popular.
Okay, let me ask you this. If Towns gets ruled out, where does Brunson rank? Orlando doesn't have...
it's still not the best matchup.
Yeah, the game sucks. I mean, that game sucks. It's like
208.5, I think we saw.
Yeah, it sucks.
So, but he's probably into some. I mean, I'd rather play Maxey at home versus than Brunson probably. So, but now you're taking maybe no Embiid, no Towns, which basically forces you either spending up for Wemby, playing Triple J at center tonight, maybe, and we'll get the center obviously, but there's some definite options, and the pressures of the dual positional eligibility would be something to watch for. So, all right, well, we'll get there when we get there. Let's see if we can kind of finish point guard. Get through point guard with any other big news kind of breaking here. What are your thoughts as we work our way down? Any of these value plays for you at point today? Do you like Cole Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I think my point on Cole Anthony is that he is a very high upside player that also has a very low floor. But it's also just really hard to know what they're going to do with Anthony Black because he was a healthy scratch yesterday. And then he was asked, Jamal Mosley was asked about it. And it was kind of like, we'll see how it is day by day. And we didn't want to put him into I don't know how to decipher what he was saying. So if Anthony Black's just going to be a healthy DMP, not going to play, then Cole Anthony's going to play a bunch of minutes. He has a really high ceiling, and he also can shoot Orlando right out of this game, and then the game's over. But he's $400 cheaper than yesterday, and every time he steps on the floor, he just has an insanely high usage rate.
Right.
So, Suggs, no Paolo, and no Franz. He's a 32% usage rate, 1.2 fantasy points per minute. What is there not to like? It's just obviously it's just inconsistent. So
all right, here's this. D'Angelo Russell's on the floor getting shots up. I heard he's trending towards playing tonight per Nets beat writer Eric Slater.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's good to know. Because that's he's obviously a really good play at that price.
Yep. Yeah, he'll be really good. He'll be pretty popular tonight.
Very. Only other name I'd throw out there is Lonzo.
Yep. Yeah, we had comments on Lonzo in the chat early up here. Again, played 25 minutes in that game, 26 against Charlotte. He's closing over Giddey. He's playing the final 5 or 6 minutes of the fourth quarter for his defense. And we've also talked about it. He's a better offensive player than he's shown. Yep. He's not an elite offensive player, but he's, like you said, he's a 40% 3-point shooter before he got injured. Yep. 1 of 4, 1 of 6, 1 of 3. If he can start playing more minutes and those shot attempts creep up around 10, and then he starts going 2 for 5, 3 for 8 or something like that from 3, we're going to be cooking because he's going to give you the other numbers. Those steal numbers and the limited playing time that he is in is great. He's a good rebounder. The Ball brothers have always been really good at just filling out the box score. LaMelo, the better scorer, obviously, but definitely some upside for Lonzo here at $4,200 for sure.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add. He's a great play.
And obviously, I don't really have much else at point guard unless other news breaks here. Shooting guard. Again, you get Devin Booker. Beal now moving to the bench. He's $8,800. Edwards, $85. Levine, $8,200. I think it was Levine was the cover of our live show today, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I like the upside. I also just, I'm going to have a hard time playing any of those players over Paul George.
Yeah.
I like Levine would be my favorite of that group. They're just not as good of a play as Paul George.
Mm-hmm.
We got
gotta get the game. You need 35 fantasy points, something he's basically been giving us close to on average with everybody healthy. So an opportunity for him to kind of ball
Embiid didn't play in the Sacramento game. If you want context for like, and if you look through, I wrote this I know this like off the top of my head. Sacramento game, Embiid didn't play. He went for 49. The Charlotte game on the 16th, Embiid didn't play. He went for 58. And I believe the Charlotte Orlando games, the 6th and the 3rd, he went for 51 and 41. So like he's just been that dude. So yeah.
Alrighty. It's Chauncey Billups bobblehead night in Detroit tonight.
It's Chauncey Billups bobblehead night. They're trying to take him off his game.
I guess so. The opposing coach has a bobblehead night in the stadium there.
They're trying to throw him off his game. They said we appreciate you for 04, Chauncey, but we're gonna try to take you out of your comfort zone here tonight.
All right, so we got Paul George there. Again, the Chicago guys are fine. That's a really good game matchup. Chicago, San Antonio, you get your exposure to. Devin Vassell. What do we think here? $6,100.
Great, nice and safe, reliable. Nothing bad to say about him once you see 39 minutes on the second leg of back-to-back. That was sewed up, and it's just an elite matchup.
Warren, I'm not really worried about Ryan Dunn on Paul George. I get, defensive player, the idea of that, but he's fine. It's Paul George. He's
incredibly good. He is incredibly good.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take the 10-time All-Star.
They'll switch enough. He'll be on the floor a ton. We're not sure that Don's going to play 39 minutes tonight. So, there'll be plenty of opportunities for Paul George to get his shot. So, not too worried about that there. Again, like Devin Vassell a lot, $6,100. We expected him to generally be among the highest rostered players on the slate. He's kind of in that mid tiers, around 18% tonight. So, you get your exposure. You're fine there. How do we approach Brooklyn now with Russell trending towards playing?
You just play Russell.
Just play Russell? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, everything else, like you can play Keon. I think it's fine. Like I think Keon's minutes will be fine because we don't know
he's
that
playing these minutes with Russell anyways, right?
Yeah, so you can play Keon. Obviously we don't know about Ben Simmons yet, so that would put Keon into like pretty safe territory if Simmons were to sit. He's still fine anyways, but I think Warren just said the Tyrese Martin stuff. It hurts. Like Russell playing hurts like Tyrese, Dak Prescott, Martin for sure.
Sure.
And Styles, no, we don't. We are unaware of what we're talking about. Thanks for stopping by.
These dudes know what they're talking about.
These dudes know what they're talking about? Question mark. He's asking.
Question mark. Gotcha.
Yeah, question mark. So we don't.
Question mark.
We don't. But thank you for your support.
We
What? No.
We know. We got enough people in the chat. Tell Styles we know what we're doing.
We're no ball knowers here.
Are the Pacers winning tonight? I mean, probably against Brooklyn. They're heavy favorites.
Brooklyn's scrappy. D'Lo back.
D'Lo back is definitely useful for them. Tamani Kamara.
Safe. Just safe. Just very safe.
What's the spread on this Pacers game here? Pacers, Brooklyn, 10.5, 225.5. Shush. I mean, that'd be a pretty big money line upset on Brooklyn there if that was the payoff there. So, Tamani Kamara's fine. Nembhard's been pretty good.
Yeah, I'm indifferent. I'm in both. They're fine.
Okay.
You skipped over Beasley. You skipped over Beasley though. What are you doing?
Did I? Where is he?
5,600. What are you doing?
Oh,
figure your
my
life
guy.
out.
I can't believe I missed my guy.
Figure your life out, dude. 5,600. This is literally your guy.
I know. I love Malik Beasley. Sometimes I even call him the wrong name. So
Michael.
No,
shout out,
Michael Beasley.
shout out, former number 2 overall
You get
pick,
Michael Beasley on the Heat right now, dude. Oh, he's out there.
But I mean, they might be looking for some
They need him.
openings
They need
soon. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Malik's fine. Again, no Osor now, just sort of even solidifies him, I think, a little bit further here.
Do you think he starts? Do you think he starts?
I would hope so.
I don't.
I wrote more on us again.
No, I think they're gonna do like
Sasser. Like, what are we doing?
No. I think Fontecchio or Ron Holland.
I don't think it matters if he starts. So.
It does. No, it does not. You're correct. I'm just saying, like, they are now just like refusing. They're like, nope, can't start. You're off the bench, buddy.
Yeah. So Beasley's great. I'm for sure. My brain, for whatever reason, was more on Toby, and we'll get to Tobias Harris, obviously, because he is ridiculously cheap.
Yes.
Here as well.
Beasley
Toby currently the second highest rostered player on the slate.
Yeah.
Beasley, dude, if these ownership numbers hold out on Beasley, like that's kind of decent leverage. He's only like 15%.
They spiked when Thompson got ruled out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, on an 8-game slate, no Thompson, no Ivy, the way Beasley's been playing at his price point to only get him around 15%, like that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Do I think Cade's gonna get a double-double? Yeah, probably. I mean, he's been pretty consistent with that there. Yeah, so Beasley's for sure good. I don't even know how I missed them there, honestly. We must have been, I think I talked to Vassell, then we got news and I got distracted. So definitely found him. What do you think on Grimes at 55? Just blow Beasley.
Yeah, I think Dallas in general, a lot of like tournament appeal. I would probably just group Dallas together. And just say like they're largely really appealing tournament plays. All of them, because it's hard to like. We saw, when you do this stuff, like Najee Marshall gets the biggest bump, and then PJ Washington gets a really sizable bump. Quentin Grimes has been really good lately. Clay has some pretty good numbers without, and this is obviously a really good pace up spot. Memphis is really good defensively, but what do you look at more? Do you like the pace of the game? Do you like how good, or do you dislike Memphis defensively? Do you think Dallas can score enough? Do you like, where does Najee Marshall's return, take minutes away from? Like, does Hardy minutes go away? Does Dinwiddie's minutes stay like kind of mid-20s? So I like Grimes. I like Clay here at like similar price points. I like Grimes a little more, but I think both of these Dallas players are solid in tournaments for sure.
Yeah. I mentioned Kamara being safe. We had thoughts on Grayson Allen. I don't really find myself getting to him unless like multiple people are out.
Well, Tyus was out last game. Yeah. Tyus is back this game.
Oh, there we go. D'Angelo Russell's actually now ruled out.
Oh,
thank you, Nets beat writer, telling me he's playing towards playing. Ben Simmons ruled out tonight. So on the queue.
Cool, dude.
Who is that beat writer? So I can just blast them here again.
No. Let's just so
circle back to Brooklyn here. Break it. Let's get a Brooklyn breakdown for everybody. Ben Simmons, no D'Angelo Russell.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do something weird. Because we've seen them be weird before. I could see a couple scenarios. Derek Whitehead is with the team tonight. He was called up from the G League. I'd expect Keon, Claxton, Wilson, probably either Zaire or Clowney as 4. And then I guess it just depends. Do they want to go Beekman as like an official point guard? Do they feel comfortable with Keon as your point guard? Do they want to go Whitehead with kind of like another guard? So it's a really tough situation to figure out because we don't really know what they're going to do with their start. I mean, there's a lot of different directions they could go with their starting lineup. I'm like pretty confident Jalen Wilson, Keon Johnson, Zaire, Claxton And then the fifth guy, I guess, like just TBD. I don't think they'd go Clowney in that case because that just would be a monster lineup.
Yeah.
Against.
But it definitely makes someone like Keon appealing because there may just be infinite minutes for him tonight.
Yes. Like, we've talked about Tyrese Martin started the second half in that game that Russell left. So they did go with the Keon Johnson starting point guard lineup. They didn't have Derek Whitehead in that game. So like, that's a little bit of a wrinkle. They gave Beekman like all the closing time. Keon did too. Like all there was, so it's kind of a nightmare. Keon and Tyrese Martin are the priorities in terms of the guards.
Yeah.
Until we know if like they do bob when we think they're going to leave, right? Like if Beekman or Whitehead are starting, then you got to have interest in guys that are mid salary.
Agreed. Just like the pricing for these guys are obviously all pretty interesting, and that game is a 7:30 game. So maybe if they're giving us this injury news now, like maybe we'll get a starting lineup. Wildly small sample size. No Simmons, Johnson, Thomas, Russell, Schroeder, and DFS. Anthony Smith.
So the whole team.
Keon Johnson, 25% usage rate. Tyrese Martin, 23% usage rate. And 121 and 126 minutes. So like decent minutes run there for those guys that have them on the floor. Zaire Williams is your fantasy point per minute leader there, 1.06. Martin 1.01, Johnson 0.97. So
I think to that, just you know how like we usually talk, and you and I are usually on different sides of the fence about like the blowout conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, if this game blows out, you want the people that are going to be on the floor. Zaire, Claxton were not,
right.
For what that's worth. They closed the whole game. They lost by 30 they closed with Keon, Jalen Wilson, Day'Ron Sharp, Tyrese Martin, and like Reese Beekman. So I'm not saying those are like the five you want, but if Zaire and Claxton aren't going to close in a blowout, they're obviously less appealing than like Keon or Wilson or
Agreed.
Martin.
Yep. All right. Anybody else at shooting guard?
Anyone else at shooting guard? We got Keon, talked to Cole Anthony. I'm out on Grayson with like them being basically fully healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what they're going to do with Jaden Hardy. I guess it's at least interesting. The upgrade for Kennard, $4,600. He had been playing really well, super good. And if no Desmond Bane, I think the field still believes that Jake LaRavia is the starter. But if Kennard's upgraded to in, it's like, I'm pretty sure it's listed on the injury report as like injury management, which leads me to believe they were just going to right hamstring soreness was what it was. So if he's okay, then I would play some Kennard,
Sure.
Given how injured they are and how good he's been.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Joel Embiid's dealing with a foot sprain.
Yeah, he's been listed with the foot for whatever. Like when you and I had talked about it on the show last night, like he's just going to be questionable every slate. But
and he's out tonight because of it.
Yep.
All right, small forward Scotty Barnes, $9,500 here. I guess we don't know the RJ Barrett news yet. He's still questionable with the illness. If Barrett is in and quickly obviously being active, are you still entertaining Barnes at $9,500?
I'm not really entertaining Barnes with Barrett out, but that's just a slate thing. He's just a casualty of the slate for me.
We did get ownership update here following the Embiid news. We're still waiting on the D'Angelo Russell news there, but Paul George, now your third highest rostered player. Basically your second. He's just fractional ownership percentages behind Tobias Harris. Andre Drummond with a big bump there. Yabusele gets a bump. Max is still rather under rostered, only around 15%. So, got that going on for us with the Sixers side of things there. What are we looking at, I guess, for the rest of the small forward position? Obviously, you liked Paul George at shooting guard, but you can play him here too.
Yep.
Do you like prefer any of the other plays in this range?
For me, it's Paul George and Denny Avdia. I think Denny Avdia has proven to be just an elite fantasy player. He's just been really good without Jeremy Grant. And I think, seeing 43 minutes in regulation and knowing that's on the table. If you remember preseason, they asked Chauncey Billups what stood out in preseason. And he literally just said Denny Avdia. That was like the only thing he said. That was the only answer. He could have said anything, said like a lot of things, and Denny Avdia. He just said Denny Avdia. I mean, like, he likes him. And now we're getting to see like full capacity run. Not going to be surprised when they move Grant at the deadline and Denny's like your full-time wing here. But he held up 43 minutes against, 43 minutes in this Milwaukee game and then 30 against Giannis and 36 minutes the game prior against the Lakers. Like, I mean, sign me all the way up for
averaging 17 rebound chances per game over the last 2 games where he had 14 and 10 rebounds there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Aiden played that game too. Aiden only averaged 11 and a half. Kamara also averaged 11 rebound chances per game. So Denny out here just all over the glass. I took him in a lot of best ball leagues because when they traded him to Portland, like I was all in.
Same.
I thought this was going to be a huge season for Denny. I'm glad that he's finally getting the run and the opportunity to be a productive player.
I will say that the rebound chances is a little skewed because that Lakers game, Ayton got benched. He only played like 20 minutes in. And he got benched like the whole second half.
Sure. So you have that game there, obviously for him. Still always been a good rebounder. Even
he has for sure.
When given the run, he's been a good rebounder there. If Towns sits, the Knicks core does become a bit more appealing.
Yes.
Despite our lack of interest really in the matchup, would you play an OG or a Bridges?
Yeah, or a Hart. All of them are all tournament plays.
Yeah, for sure.
They're all tournament plays for sure.
Without Towns on the floor this season, in terms of fantasy points per minute, Brunson's 1.39, Hart's 1.04, Achua 1.04, OG 0.99, Bridges is 0.8. I think we've talked about that before.
RJ Barrett in.
There you go. I guess we will see. I'm still in on quickly. Does that make any difference for you there?
No.
I'm with you. Available to play on a minutes limit is the thing there for RJ Barrett.
Sure. So
we've seen that before.
So it's quickly first game back after 2 months and he played 33. So sure.
Vassell 61 we do like, as we mentioned.
RJ Barrett apparently lost a lot of weight during this.
Yeah, he must have had like the flu, or he had something going on.
Oh, sheesh. Not great, RJ.
Towns still a game time decision.
Wait. What's the quote?
Oh,
yeah. We got it right, John. We got it right the other day.
We did.
Remember, we said if he didn't say he'll work out pregame, what's the quote?
I gotta find it. Hold on. He will. Thibodeau, Cat will go through pregame work.
He's in. There it is. He's in.
Final determination will be made after his pregame work.
He's in. That means he's in.
Okay.
McBride too. He's in.
McBride is also going through his pregame warm-up.
We don't have to say anything else. We know.
Okay. All right. We got that. We got Jalen Wells, as we talked about, had a 30 bomb 2 games ago. Played 35 minutes against Golden State. Did not have the same success shooting the basketball. But the minutes are at least very encouraging there.
Yes, and they're not going to go. It's not like they're going away,
No.
Especially with how shorthanded they are. And, they've played the last 2 games without Desmond Bane. If Bane, which is all but confirmed, is out, and if Kennard ultimately gets ruled out, Jalen Wells might play 40 minutes tonight, and that alone would probably put him in.
This is the first time all season the Raptors have had Barnes, Quickly, Pirtle, and Barrett on the floor at the same time.
First time player. It's crazy.
First time all season. Agbaji to return to the bench is what the update was. So
yeah, for sure.
RJ starting. You mentioned LaRavia played 32 minutes against Golden State. There looked pretty good. We've gone kind of through this before, LaRavia, where we've kind of bought into his role, and then he misses all his shots, gets turnovers, and then gets benched. But at least for now, there is that. We had an extensive talk on Najee Marshall last night. Have we kind of formulated an idea around how they'll use him? Do you have any additional thoughts here?
They asked Jason Kidd what they missed about Najee Marshall during the suspension, and he just kind of paused and he said, "Well, everything." So, I mean,
his minutes, you know?
yeah, just him not being there. I was doing some digging today, and basically my conclusion is that Kyrie being out matters a lot for Najee Marshall. Because I've said it all along, like they view him as a secondary ball handler, whether he's a small forward, go forward type player. He's someone that handles the ball for them. And there was a game earlier in the year against Utah. Kyrie's only missed a handful of games.
Yeah.
And Kyrie missed a game in Utah, 11-14. Najee Marshall played 34 minutes in that game, John. 9 for 14 from the floor, 19 actual. And we've talked about it. There's the one game that Luke, well, he had that stretch, obviously, where he was playing a lot also. But then there's another game where no Kyrie, no Luka. They got blown out by the Clippers by 23. He took 12 shots in 24 minutes and, 9, 5, 1, and 1, just like Najee Marshall. And he has the biggest usage rate on the team without them. So,
that's the thing that stood out to us last night on the preview show is that he has the highest usage rate this season on the team without Luka and Kyrie on the floor. You're getting him at $4,600, which is kind of where he's in price. But during that hot stretch, he got all the way up over $5K. So maybe taking advantage of bottom pricing on Najee Marshall here moving forward. Something to watch. And maybe those minutes continue to trend upward as he returns from his suspension there. So
yeah,
definitely got him in there. Jalen Wilson's just going to be another Brooklyn net to watch. You mentioned Keon Johnson, obviously Jalen Wilson on a wing, going to start 30 plus minutes here. He's going to take shots. It's all about whether or not he makes those shots or not. So you got there. Gavin Lux traded to the Reds from the Dodgers. A little baseball news happening. We do everything here on this show. So
we also do every show.
If you got your Dynasty Fantasy Baseball League and you're wondering, what do I do with Gavin Lux? Well, now he's going to go back up McCain over in Cincinnati. Let's see. Anything else here for small forward? Do you like THJ at all?
I am indifferent about THJ. I guess I would, if Holland or Fontecchio started, I'd be sure. I'd raise my eyebrow a little bit, particularly Ron Holland at 3,100. I would get a little eyebrow raise there, but nothing really.
Sure. There were comments actually Billets made on Holland. He said when he saw the Pistons draft Ron Holland, he knew they were making a commitment to defense.
He is a dog. He's a wild child. He also has a pretty good usage rate without Jaden Ivey and Oscar Thompson this year. It's about 23%. So
sure. Tonight is Latina night in Brooklyn. If you care about that, they're talking about that as reports. Let's see. Oubre remains questionable. We got that going on for us here. Let's see, anybody else that you would play in this range, I guess, is the question. Martin, we already talked about. Do you like Dunn moving into the starting lineup? Obviously, the last 2 games, the minutes have been good. He fills out the stat sheet.
I just don't have a strong take on Phoenix because this is the healthiest they've been. Sans Royce O'Neal. They're going to start Dunn. They're going to start Plumlee. That doesn't necessarily mean anything other than that they're the first people on the floor. Yes, Ryan Dunn is a really good defender. He's probably going to get extended, but he's also probably not the guy that's going to be often taking 11 and 12 shots a game. So I'm just indifferent about Phoenix in general.
There is Jet Howard had 21 actual yesterday.
Yeah, but they were down by 20 against Utah, and it's trusting that rotation is pulling.
Just wanted to give a quick peek.
It's going through a pricker bush and then trying to take all of them out of your arms.
I understand that reference. All right, power forward. Where does Giannis rank among the top spends for you?
I'd probably still have him behind Cade and Wemby, but I'm never gonna not tell you to play Giannis. I mean, his numbers actually go down with Middleton off the floor, but They go down from 1.7 fantasy points per minute to 1.65, and they go down from 37% usage to 36. You want to play that guy? Yeah, good luck. He's really good at basketball. So he's amongst the top 3.
Okay. For whatever reason, I feel like I want to bet Toronto tonight. They're getting like 6.5.
That's because the Bucks lose to all the bad teams.
Right?
And they've lost to all of them
but is
in a row.
Toronto bad now that they're fully healthy?
Yeah.
+6 at home?
I think they're pretty bad.
All right.
They could.
Barrett, Quickly, Dick, Pirtle. Like that's
I mean, they could be fine. That's like that's fine.
All right.
We haven't seen it, so TBD, I guess.
I'll have to say we literally haven't seen it this year. Durant 93, Triple J 91. We were pretty high on Jaren Jackson Jr. last night.
Yeah, I'm always high. I mean, I'm higher, I think, than the majority of people on Triple J. I get that he has like let us down in the past, but it's a new season, new Jaren Jackson Jr. Still the same foul happy guy, but he has been just fantasy point per minute monster and a usage monster. No Bane, no Morant, no Smart. 34% usage. That's +5%. Leads the team. 1.4 fantasy points per minute leads the team. If that's the guy we get in max minutes, then yeah, Triple J is going to have a big night.
Agreed. Mid-tier, Denny's down there. Does Portis get any sort of lift at all without Middleton?
I doubt it. He's been playing fine because he's been playing over Brillo. So I don't think the Middleton stuff helps.
Sure. Bowers lets on Concher.
I mean, I just TBD. I think Concher could end up being the one starting where everyone thinks LaRavia starts. They've literally started Concher, so we could get like Concher to be the one starting. I'd feel better about it if Kennard was out too, because like Bane, Kennard, then Concher. Mm-hmm. I would feel better about it then. Sure. Josh, Triple J for me would be the answer there. I really like PJ Washington, just to get ahead of this tonight, in like that same bucket of can play these Dallas guys in tournaments. I think PJ Washington's a really good tournament play. 6.6% usage bump. No Kyrie, no Luka. That's a big number. 24% without them, basically fantasy point per minute, 0.99. Obviously huge.
Not going to hold the last 2 games against them against Houston and Cleveland. So
right. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of tournament appeal for Dallas. Like just blanket statement. I saw Stacks had the lively question earlier. We'll get to next position, but PJ Washington tournaments is really appealing.
Sure. Let's see. The Nets just retweeted the Long Island Nets post of Dariq Whitehead being recalled. So falls more in line with what we discussed earlier. With that, let's see. Thoughts on Sohan? Returned, played 26 minutes in that game.
I don't have thoughts.
Okay.
I thought his hair's cool. I'd rather just play Tobias Harris.
Fair enough, Toby. Highest rostered player on the slate tonight.
It's a good play. It's a good play.
Toyed, and now I'm kicking myself, but earlier today when doing the research for the Underdog article, his point projection was like 14.5. And I was like, ooh, that looks pretty good. All right. Like, they might consider taking it. Then Thompson gets ruled out too. Like probably should have pulled the trigger on that when I had the chance.
Yep.
But yeah, everybody's playing him. So you're just eating some chalk with Toby Harris there. Anybody else for you at power forward?
We talked about most of these value guys. I would assume Gershon Yabusele is the starter here. I know you said Drummond had the bump.
Yeah, Drummond's getting the ownership right now.
They did not go that direction the other night. I mean, they in that Sacramento game, not that Yabusele was great, but they did not play Drummond the 30 minutes. They gave it to Yabusele. So at 4,300, I feel like not to say that Drummond didn't play and they can play them both. Like Yabusele obviously plays both positions. But I'd assume they would go the Yabo route I feel like they just want to keep Drummond in that backup center role, unless they have to extend him. Like they just want Drummond to be their backup center. So $4,300 Gershon Yabusele, I have quite a bit of interest in. Almost
Towns gets ruled out. Do you play Yabusele or Precious Achua?
And this is a situation where both are starting.
Assuming so, yeah.
Precious has been over a fantasy point per minute. I'd assume the minutes. I feel better about Precious minutes, but you're also talking about the two coaches in the NBA that you're most confident in minutes with, right?
Just
like
playing
the
minutes, yeah.
Nick Nurse and Tom Thibodeau. So if I had to pick between those two players, I like the Yabusele matchup better.
You'll at least know the Yabusele news before roster lock. So
I like the Yabusele matchup better because Phoenix has been so putrid defensively. So I'll still stick with Yabusele, but it's also not a bad thing to maybe consider both because they're both the position eligibility for both.
Yeah, you can fit them both in there for sure. Giannis available to play. Not that I didn't think that was a worry. Brandon Clark also is getting a lot of early ownership run. Since has dissipated, but still the guy that we discussed last night. Any Clark interest?
Yep, I have him in the playbook today as a fine last piece in for Brandon Clark for sure. What I do expect though, like I do think eventually Edey's minutes are gonna tick back up. Zach Edey was dominating before that concussion.
Probably not a shock. The Russell updates have just come through. Martin, now you're number 2. Keon Johnson, number 5. Yeah. Aaron Sharp is up here as well. And Jalen Wilson, all up over 20%. Martin and Johnson, 30 and 25.
Love nothing better than Brooklyn Chalk, let me tell you.
Brooklyn Chalk, ladies and gentlemen. They're all coming through for us here. Cole Anthony still your number 1 roster to play. Toby got a slight bump down. PG still where he's at. And kind of split ownership on Wemby and Giannis as the top overall spend up because there's now so much value on this slate that you can pay up for either one of them. So, and you were saying you had Clark in your playbook, right?
I did.
Okay, Clark and Yabu and Drummond actually all have the same ownership, so. All of them can kind of figure out where you're going with that. Center. There is Wemby at 11-1. Get Chicago. We just talked about what Towns did to them the other day. We've seen what centers just in general have done in this spot. Chicago, super fast-paced team. They don't play a lot of defense. Given all the volume and value, you've mentioned you liked Cade a lot, but is Wemby ahead of them? Is Wemby your 1 today?
No, it was Embiid.
It was Embiid. Okay.
Per dollar, I think Cade is as good as Wemby, but like nobody on the slate has this in their bag. This 20, 35, 20, 10 blocks. Like that's just what it is. Like nobody can match that. Bottom 5 defense, top 5 pace team that he's facing off. Really not a lot to dislike about Wemby.
Apparently, Leandro Ball's tape is playing over the speaker at the Pistons arena right now. So
dude, I'm telling you, that
everybody's got the Jello before it's even been released yet. So, anyhow, Wemby's there again. Towns looking like maybe trending towards an out. No official word yet, so don't take that as gospel. But they did call up.
No, dude, we got the official.
Oh,
he's
that's true.
Pregame. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are you in on Towns then if he plays?
Not really, no. I mean, you can always play him. He has a high ceiling.
Alrighty. Triple J we talked about. Where are you going next at center, I guess, then is my question.
I don't have a lot of this next tier. Zubats is fine. I saw we had a comment about Goga if Towns is out. I mean, there's definitely a chance that they play less Goga, but it's very fluid situation what Orlando does night to night. I like Miles Turner in tournaments. He's been scoring the ball really well. Obviously has like nice block upside as well. 6,400 for Turner is solid. And then like I saw it was Stacks that asked about Lively.
We had a lot of questions on Plumlee and a lot of questions on Lively in the chat.
I like Derek Lively. I think that he's underpriced for, the upside. He's also not one to like go out and get as often. So when you do get double from Derek Lively, like there is chance that he goes for 35, 40 fantasy points, like, but just not often is he scoring that much. I mean, probably less than 2 handfuls of games he scored double figures. So I like him definitely at the price. But that's like it. I mean, the Philly stuff is obviously appealing.
Sure.
We'll obviously see what they do. I am not really interested in Mason Plumlee. And we've talked about this a couple times. He's not terrible, but we've said it a lot. Phoenix is one of the teams that will go small.
Yeah.
And I don't think it helps Mason Plumlee that Nurkic is available. Like in these games where Plumlee played ceiling minutes, 27, 26, Nurkic was not available.
Right.
If Nurkic is like simply just like the backup and is going to play backup minutes, Oso Ighodaro is also available this game. He wasn't available last game. Right. So like they have 3 centers. They have the small ball lineup that they can go to, which I think is easier tonight without Embiid available. They could just play Durant. Yabusele, they could just play Durant at the 5. There's nothing that says like have to play a center with Yabusele. I know he's a big boy, but he's 6'8". Like he's not like, in terms of height, he is not like tall. So I will let whoever, and is Plumlee even like getting ownership? I don't think he is, and I probably wouldn't go there regardless.
He is.
He's not. And the Day'Ron Sharp stuff, I get, because we had talked about it, right? If you're playing Brooklyn, you want pieces that will be in at the end of the game, or at least give you opportunity to be in at the end of games. If this is a blowout, it's trending that way. It's an 11-point spread. I think you had said it was 10.5 earlier. It's moved a half a point since Russell and Simmons have been ruled out. Indiana's playing well, and if you get blowout Day'Ron Sharp minutes, he's usually better than this player, the 16 fantasy points in 25 minutes. He's closer to a fantasy point per minute. In fact, he's over it on the year.
He's 17 fantasy points in 16 minutes this year.
So, like, I get it. Is he my favorite center of the day? As if, like, that's what our ownership is basically telling us. Like, he's the most rostered center of the day.
Yeah.
That I'm a little indifferent on. I get it. He'll be in my player pool. But the highest rostered center, I'm a little indifferent about that one.
A little questionable, right?
Yeah.
All right. It is time for the lineup build portion of our show here. I guess we're probably just plugging in Toby, the power forward,
Paul
George, and small forward, Keon probably. We had another, was our like $4,600 guy that we Najee Marshall?
Yeah, I mean I'm not as sold on Najee as you are probably.
I like Najee. Example lineups, folks. Example lineups. What was your spend? You liked Cade as your number one?
Yeah.
Okay. We do Cade. Obviously, we'll have to do this to appease you there. Keon. What are we doing at center?
Probably Yabusele, and then we'll see what they do with their starting, because that game's at 7, so we'll know.
$6,800 forward util.
$6,800 forward.
We jammed Triple J. It's a $4,500 util.
It's probably spend down and then spend up. If play Tyrese Martin there and then see what we got. He'll play in blowouts too.
$9,600. Scotty Barnes, Kevin Durant,
Man,
Triple J.
a Triple J. I would have loved to get to Wemby, but I just we can't. If we're playing Paul George, probably can't.
Yeah. All right. Cade, George, Marshall, Harris, Yabusele, Johnson, Martin, and Jaren Jackson Jr. with $500 left over. Example lineup for everybody there. Let's see, Tyrese Martin and Daron Sharp or Najee Marshall?
In large field stuff, Najee Marshall. In like, I'll just say Najee Marshall in general.
Sure. Thoughts on Tyrese Martin? Gonna shoot.
Like him. He's gonna get blow, and if it blows out, he's gonna play.
Caleb Houston starting again for Orlando tonight. Anthony, Caldwell Pope, De Silva, Houston, go.
Okay, so like right there, Cole Anthony's starting. They had been starting Anthony Black.
Yeah.
Right? Previously. Looks
Second
like
straight game, no Black.
Kind of looks like a DMP to me if we're getting, Cole Anthony in the starting lineup. I can't answer that. That's not definitive, but seems kind of likely that based on Jamal Mosley's comments that Anthony Black doesn't play again, but we'll see.
Yep. MD, I mean, you get more money on FanDuel, obviously, so the pricing sometimes is a little different, but Anthony definitely plays up better on DraftKings from like a 3-point bonus perspective. So
yes, for sure.
But they're two different sites. I mean, their projections and values different players differently. So
yep,
that's all that is. All right, guys, we do appreciate y'all tuning in. We got the preview show again. They'll come out tonight for tomorrow. We'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Check the playbook. Get in the Discord. If you're not already a member of the Fantasy Storm family, 7-day free trial. FantasyStorm.com/win. That first month after your 7-day free trial is $19.98 a month. So make sure you check that out today. Get access to all content on site for free for 7 days. That's fantasyalarm.com/win. James and I will be back tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.